Very good afternoon, students. So we focused regarding the kidney toxicity, the toxicants which causes the damage to the cells of the kidney or the nephrons. So we discussed in the last class regarding this RKIP, that is which is going to play an important role in the regulation of growth and the survivability of the cells. So with respect to this, we discussed in relation this particular arsenic compounds which has been exposed to the individual who gets exposed to that particular arsenic toxicant, which further leads to the DNA methylation and histone acetylations, and as well as because of the epigenetic alterations in the expression of the interleukin 8, right, that is IL-8 in the renal tubular cells, so which further leads to the changes, proneoplastic changes, which has been seen by with respect to the increased migrations, proliferations, and as well as cell cycle dysregulation in the renal cells, which further leads to the different types of progression. This particular early steps which can be these type of alterations which further involve in the representation of early steps with respect to the progression of certain types of cancers, what we discussed. So coming for the environmental, how this exposure of this arsenic also leads to the chronic kidney disease. That is, environmentally, of course, will be exposed inhaling that particular in the form of inorganic arsenicals, as well as occupational while working, and in the dietary exposures to arsenic, which also contributes to the incidence of this renal injury, and as well as we can see the development of the particular renal disease, right, that is chronic kidney disease. And even the contamination of this drinking water with this arsenic also leads to the development of hypertension and renal injury. They have viewed one case, they have viewed so many cases with respect to regarding this. So one such review of 24 cases studies which suggest that there is a positive association between the exposure to arsenic, inorganic arsenical, and as well as kidney injury. So exposure to this inorganic arsenical was shown to cause albuminuria and as well as proteinuria, both the things which is going to happen, albuminuria and as well as proteinuria. But it is not going to enhance other outcomes. Example, anemia, hyperkalemia, hypocalcemia, which are mainly associated with this chronic kidney disease. So therefore, many authors who concluded that although the exposure of this to the inorganic form of the arsenicals, which appears to cause renal injury, but there is no clear association between this particular view, that is exposure to the inorganic arsenicals, and the development of this chronic kidney disease is have a association or relation with respect to these two. In contrast, they have found from a cross-sectional study of the patients in Taiwan who have showed the positive correlation between urinary levels of this inorganic form of the arsenic and the incidence of the chronic kidney disease. So that's why they have concluded that high levels of urinary as may increase the risk of developing chronic kidney disease. That is, high level concentration of this inorganic arsenicals presence in the urine may lead to the increased risk of developing chronic kidney disease by fourfold. The increased risk of this chronic kidney disease, which as a consequence of arsenic exposure, may be due to the nephron death and even compensatory changes in the healthy nephrons, which leads to the progressive loss of the nephrons. That could also happen. So in support of this idea, they have found out, that is the one of the result from the National Health and the Nutritional Examination Survey in the 2009 and 12, which indicated that early acute exposure to arsenic may leads to the increased glomerular filtration rate, which further suggests that the nephrons are injured. that suggests that nephrons are already injured, which where the other remaining healthy nephrons are going to compensate by increasing the single glomerular filtration rate, and ultimately total glomerular filtration rate will be decreased can be maintained. So when compensatory changes which leads to the injury and death of healthy nephrons, patients who may develop chronic kidney disease, the developed chronic kidney disease, when the person is having the chronic kidney disease, is going to excrete the arsenic in the urine and other toxicants. That particular level will be decreased, which may further lead to the additional toxicological effects in the other target organs as well as in the other cells, which we can make out. So this is all about your arsenic exposure, which leads to the chronic kidney disease from many reviews. So coming for the cadmium, this is also acting as one of the heavy metal. So this is a prevalent environmental pollutant and as well as nephrotoxicant, where the industrial uses of this cadmium, which includes manufacture of batteries, pigments, and as well as coatings and even the plastics, where the current regulation regarding this cadmium emissions and disposal, which have reduced the occupational exposure to the cadmium, but at the particular environmental surrounding areas where the cadmium was used industrially remain heavily contaminated. But additionally, they have found out that use of this metal in the case of phosphate fertilizers can also leave soil and water contaminated heavily with cadmium residue. This cadmium concentrations in case of soil and as well as subsequently accumulates in the plants, particularly root vegetables, grains, and tobaccos. This cadmium concentration is also present in high levels in aquatic animals, whereas in case of seals, that is such as seals and as well as mollusks and even crustaceans such as oysters, and even in the crabs you can make out this high level concentration of this cadmium can be found. So the diet which is the primary means of this particular cadmium exposure, in general we can say the diet is acting as a primary source for the non-smoking population who is getting exposed to this cadmium. In contrast, because of the high concentration of the cadmium in case of tobacco, individuals who smokes tobacco products are exposed regularly to this metal. See, you can find out the difference between the non-smoking people and with the smoking people. So this indeed, most cigarettes, which usually approximately contains 1 to 2 micrograms of this cadmium, and about 10% of this cadmium contained in a cigarette is inhaled. Approximately 50% of that being are going to be absorbed in the lungs. So you can make out. So therefore they have estimated from this the individual who smokes one pack of 20 cigarettes each day will absorb approximately 1 to 2 microgram of the cadmium daily. So this cadmium is also present in the air, of course, and even in the drinking water in the various regions of the world. So although the concentration of the cadmium in the air is relatively low and in the drinking water is normal, but not a major source of the exposure for the general population, but who is the smoking people, so they will consume almost 1 to 2 microgram of cadmium daily, and even along with that they are going to be exposed in the air also, and low concentration of cadmium will be present in the drinking water, so it will become almost more than the normal level. So of course those person will be end up with the various diseases. So because of this, they have after the studies, the recent assessment, they have made it as the US Centers for that particular disease control and prevention, which is acting as a part of the national health and the nutritional examination studies, which have found that blood and the urine contains over 5,000 individuals. Blood and urine of the 5,000 individuals almost are being analyzed for this cadmium concentration, presence of cadmium concentration. But in the individuals who are the age of 20, the average blood level was 0.376 microgram per liter. But the average urinary concentration of this cadmium was present was 0.232 microgram per liter. Both urinary and blood levels of the cadmium, which are going to be remained fairly steady over the past decade. So this data suggests that the individual will continue to be exposed chronically to this cadmium concentration. A thorough understanding of this effect of this exposure to the cadmium on an organ system is very important to know about the overall human health or the human population health. So you can make out from this how much level of concentration of this cadmium is going to be accumulated in the blood and the urinary concentrations with respect to the individual who are being exposed with this particular smoking, as well as through the air, and where the person will be working in the occupational, and with respect to the environmental condition, and with respect to the this other ways. All ways are going to be the route for the exposure of this heavy metal in a high concentration to the individual. So how this cadmium concentration, cadmium exposure can be handled in the for the maintenance of the cadmium concentration in the kidney or the renal. So this cadmium appears to gain access to the renal epithelial cells via several different mechanisms, as you all know. So this cadmium ions, which have a very strong affinity for the sulfur groups, that is thiol groups, which may form complexes with the selected sulfhydryl thiol, that is sulfhydryl group, that is nothing but thiol group containing biomolecules such as GSH, that is cysteine amino acid will be present in that, gamma cysteine, glutamate cysteine glycine. So you can see, or even homocysteine. These cadmium thiol complexes further gain access into the cells at the site of membrane transporters. So at the level of the site of the membrane transporters, they are going to gain access once after the formation of complexes. So these are going to be involved normally in the transport of the endogenous amino acids, oligopeptides, organic anions, or the organic cations. So one such example we can make out here is the uptake of the cadmium via the organic cation transporter, that is called as organic cation transporter 2, that is called as OCT2, organic cation transporter 2, and as well as SLC22A2. So this organic cation transporter 2 is going to be localized in the basolateral membrane of proximal tubular cells, and further it is involved in the transport of a wide variety of the cationic substances. So the exact species of this cadmium take up by the organic cation transporter 2 as yet to be determined. Further, still they have not determined with respect to the exact species of this cadmium taken up through this particular transporter, that is organic cation transporter 2. So what will be the effect of this cadmium exposure? So this exposure of this cadmium is often assessed mainly by measuring the concentration. Of course, you are going to measure the concentration of the cadmium accumulated in the blood and further in the urine, excreted in the urine. In fact, so this urinary excretion of this cadmium is going to be considered to be the one of the most reliable indicator of the renal and body burden of the cadmium. So the detection of this cadmium in the urine represents the chronic levels of the exposure to the particular cadmium in case of individuals. So when the plasma levels of this cadmium is going to be high, that is presence of the cadmium in the plasma usually represents a more recent exposure, such as one occurring within the previous month, maybe. So the exposure is in recently happened. So this cadmium has a long off life within the body, but partly due to its incorporation into bone, where the following exposure of this particular cadmium decays, it is going to decay. Further exposure of this cadmium is going to be decayed. Maybe it is going to require to for the complete elimination of this toxic metal. So it can stay for long time in our body, and partly it can be accumulated in the bone. One such information you are going to get with respect to this. So the following exposure, that is the chronic level, at the chronic level of the exposure of the cadmium, you can see approximately 50% of the total body which is going to store and accumulate in the kidney. As we all know, we have studied in the few slides back. So it is not surprising to know or find that which organ is one of the primary target of the cadmium intoxication. So as usual, renal accumulation of this cadmium further leads to the reduced glomerular filtration rate. These are all the things which is going to occur or happen in the kidney after the accumulation. Reduced glomerular filtration rate, you are going to observe polyuria and generalized tubular dysfunction can be observed, that is called as Fanconi syndrome. One of the earliest signs of the renal damage is the presence of urinary biomarkers such as kidney injury molecule 1, KIM1, that is also called as beta 2 microglobulin, and even N-acetyl beta D glucosamidase, that is a NAG, and a cystatin C, and beta 2 microglobulin, which is acting as a low molecular weight protein, which is going to be filtered freely at the glomerulus and further absorbed normally by the proximal tubules. So the tubular damage further it leads to tubular damage. A small fraction of this beta 2 microglobulin which is going to escape, and further reabsorption is going to happen, and further it is going to be excreted in the urine. So that's how it is going to happen. So how the chronic exposure of this cadmium leads to all this kind of damages with respect to the kidney. You can also see alternatively the SNAG, that is called as N-acetyl beta D glucosamidase, which is mainly derived from this mitochondria within the proximal tubular epithelial cells, is released into the tubular fluid once after the cells are injured. That is KIM1. That is called as KIM1, that is kidney injury molecule. Kidney injury molecule is represented as KIM1. Please try to understand. So this is acting as a transmembrane protein, normally detectable in the urine, which can also be shown to be a sensitive marker of the renal tubular cells, where injury or even death can happen. More recently, you have observed that cystatin C, that is a cysteine protease inhibitor, which shown to be a reliable biomarker of the cadmium induced renal cell injury. So they have found out that in recent studies, this chronic exposure to the even low level of this cadmium can also result in the early signs of this renal toxicity. But the earliest sign of this cadmium induced renal damage is microproteinuria, which is being characterized by the presence of this beta microglobulin in the urine. One such information we have discussed in the last slide, right? So the observed microproteinuria, which is mainly due to a cadmium induced loss of the megalin and cubilin, which further mediates endocytosis of these proteins along the proximal tubule. This longer exposure to this cadmium, which can also cause shortening and loss of the proximal tubular microvilli, which further leads to a significant reduction in the number of transporters, which we can make out. So, this reduced ability to absorb the substrates which are taken up normally by the proximal tubular cells further leads to the presence of a Fanconi syndrome, mainly characterized by glucosuria, amino aciduria. You can find amino acids and glucose, and as well as phosphates, that is high concentration of phosphates, that is nothing but phosphaturia, and even hypercalciuria, that is also associated with high level of calcium in the urine. So you can make out all these things are going to be excreted in the urine. In addition to this, autophagy and as well as apoptosis can also be induced in intraglomerular mesangial cells. Glomeruli are further injured and consequently you can observe glomerular filtration reduction or reduced in the glomerular filtration rate. So the incidence of these kidney stones also increases in individuals who are exposed chronically to the level of cadmium, that is high doses or the large doses of the cadmium, possibly due to the increased concentration of the calcium in the tubular fluid and the urine. Because of the presence of high level of the calcium in the tubular fluid and as well as in the urine, you can make out the particular kidney stones, increase in the kidney stones in the individuals. So owing to this fact that the active form of this vitamin D, that is 1,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, is going to be formed in the kidneys, it would be possible that the renal injury is going to impede the conversion of the inactive form of this vitamin to the active form. So they have confirmed this particular by doing some studies with respect to the cadmium polluted areas. In case of cadmium polluted areas, report which shows that an association between cadmium induced renal damage and as well as lower plasma levels of this active vitamin D molecule. So this exposure to this cadmium levels, high levels of the cadmium, leads to the increase in some enzyme, that is superoxide dismutase, catalase as well as glutathione peroxidases, and also we can see increase in the level of heme oxygenases. So one such interesting factor is that here you can see here a decrease in the expression of this heme oxygenase, which further leads to a greater level of cadmium induced apoptosis. So this cadmium has also been shown to reduce the expression of certain miRNAs, specifically miRNA 125A and 125B. Under normal conditions, this miRNAs, you can see here A and B, are thought to be involved in the suppression of this cadmium induced apoptosis. So they are going to use this particular miRNAs in order to suppress the cadmium induced apoptosis. So the reduction in this particular expression of these two miRNAs would promote further apoptosis induction by the cadmium exposure and other heavy metals. Other heavy metals may be even lead or any other heavy metals can also be seen. So one such heavy metal you can make out here, zinc. It also shown that some studies have also shown that the zinc also helps in reducing renal toxicity induction by possibly blocking the ability of cadmium to alter the antioxidant enzymes. This zinc also induces the particular renal and hepatic expression of the MT, that is increased expression of the MT will further enhance the formation of MT cadmium complexes in the liver and as well as in the kidney, which further will enhance the retention of this non-toxic form of the cadmium. The zinc has also been shown to reduce cadmium induced apoptosis in renal cells and also competes with the cadmium for the entry into the cells at the site of select transporters, especially Very interestingly, you can also make out along with the zinc, magnesium, that is Mg plus Mg2 plus, that is magnesium. Also, some studies shown that this magnesium is also responsible in reducing cadmium induced toxicity. One such possible pathway is via the stimulation of glutathione synthesis, that is reduced form CSH synthesis, which would further reduce the antioxidant effects of this cadmium. And this magnesium may compete with this cadmium at the site of these transporters, same like zinc, which mediates the uptake of this cadmium. Thereby, it reduces the uptake of cadmium. Consequently, even the presence of this magnesium reduces lipid peroxidations and oxidative stress, where thereby it reduces the uptake of the cadmium. So, the presence of this magnesium, which reduces the lipid peroxidation as well as oxidative stress, which may be because this magnesium, which is going to serve as a cofactor in many enzymatic reactions, as you all seen, which will be needed to reduce the reactive oxygen species, that is called as ROS. Understanding? So this how this particular magnesium can also involve in the reduction of this particular cadmium induced toxicity, and as well as it is also involved in the reduction uh, presence of this magnesium, which will help you in reducing lipid peroxidation and as well as oxidative stress, that is in turn mainly involved to reduce the reactive oxygen species synthesis. So these are the two metal ions which will, how this mechanism which is going to happen in order to uh, cause the damage to the cells, that is cadmium and as well as this along with the cadmium, zinc, and even other metal ion which is considered as a magnesium also. In the next class we will see with respect to the another two heavy metal, that is lead and mercury. Thank you.